Building a better Bay Area. Moving forward, finding solutions. This is ABC 7 News.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Z. You're watching Getting Answers live on ABC 7, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. We ask experts your questions every day at 3 to get answers for you in real time. Today, we'll help you get into the holiday spirit with a look at local companies featured by Gold House. It's promoting Asian American-led businesses and is offering a fabulous holiday sale. Also, we'll dive into a major new headline about Omicron. Stanford University just announced it's moving classes online for 2 weeks after the holiday break, and it's mandating boosters. A reporter for the Stanford Daily will be joining us to talk about Stanford's reaction to the latest threat to in-person learning. But first, do you know about the latest cybersecurity threat to America? The White House today sent a letter to the CEOs of the biggest companies warning them that cyber is the most dangerous weapon in the world. This comes amid revelations that a software used by some of the biggest companies has a gaping flaw, one that could be exploited by bad actors to hurt us in a multitude of ways. Joining us now to talk about this is Curtis Simpson, Chief Information Security Officer for Armis, a Palo Alto-based cybersecurity management platform. Thank you so much for joining us, Curtis.
Thanks for having me.
There is a critical flaw discovered last week, I think, in widely used software called Log4j. Now, security experts and companies are alarmed and racing to fix things, but the general public, I think, knows very little about it. Explain to us what Log4j is, if I'm even saying that right, and how it's opened up a huge security threat.
Yeah, you're very much saying it right. And it's interesting and complex, so I'll try to stay away from the complex. What's interesting is this is a piece of software that was created 20 years ago that's used by other software and devices. It's fundamentally used by those software and devices to record logs of things that happen through that software, through that device, things that go right, things that go wrong. So for example, in the case of Minecraft, you've got specific logs occurring that allow or that take record of specific chats and take record of specific things that are happening in relation to that game itself, writes those logs to a file, and does some other things behind the scenes. But literally 20-year-old software that's been used, baked into other software and devices from many different manufacturers for decades.
Wow. Okay, 20 years. So, like, which companies? The Minecraft server is one of them, but what other computing devices? I mean, or are you just going to scare us by saying it's everything, literally and almost everything?
It is almost everything. Okay. You're hearing about this so rapidly because it's impacting such a widespread breadth of devices. So what we've seen already is a solid third of our customers are already seeing attacks through various different types of devices. We're seeing things like smartphones. We're seeing things like printers, timekeeping devices. Smart cameras are actually one of the most prevalent devices being attacked. And then software running on laptops, servers, computing devices in general. And one of the most challenging things about this is it's pieces of software, like, for example, we mentioned Minecraft. Minecraft is highly vulnerable and is ultimately the reason why we all know about this so quickly. But another good example of a piece of software is a piece of software that's used by most colleges, has actually been in place since the 90s. I was using this graphic design software in the 90s and was recently actually helping my daughter use the same software in college today. So this is everywhere. We're seeing it on consumer-grade devices, consumer software, enterprise-grade devices, IoT devices, like smart devices that many of us will see under the Christmas tree this coming year. Right. You name it, we're seeing it.
Okay, so then my question is, look, what can hackers do if all these devices are vulnerable? What are the potential outcomes should someone exploit that?
Yeah, what makes this so dangerous isn't just how widespread it is, it's how easy it is to exploit. So the Minecraft example really only requires that you drop a specially crafted piece of code into a chat window. And what we saw spread across YouTube very quickly, just based upon what Minecraft is and what people would want to desire there, is you could take full control of a Minecraft server. Well, the possibilities go much further than taking full control over a Minecraft server. What that ultimately allows any attacker to do, and when I say attacker, anyone can become an attacker to take advantage of this, because you can watch a 5-minute YouTube, 10-minute YouTube video and learn how to exploit this on any device, which could allow you to steal information not only from that device, but other devices running on that network, take full control of that device, shut that device down. This is as bad as it sounds just because of, again, not only the proliferation, but I haven't seen an attack that is this easy to execute at scale. And the problem is what this is likely going to turn into very quickly, and has already started, is we're going to see ransomware attacks spread rapidly, because really how this will be used will simply be a door to get into our enterprises, into our homes, and distribute ransomware to all of the different devices they can potentially connect to.
Wait, are we seeing any evidence that nation states are using this to exploit us?
We are. So we're seeing nation states taking advantage of this security flaw rapidly. We're seeing criminal organizations taking advantage of this flaw. And it's not just us. I've been on industry calls this week, and the industry is seeing this across the board. And seeing the bad actors move very, very, very quickly just because of what this gains them.
Take control of our banking, our water system, our weapons. I mean, that's all possible, right? So my question is then, what can we do? Because I know that the Homeland Security Secretary today said the government is working quickly to try to address this, but what are the solutions?
So a couple things. First and foremost, this is the responsibility of our solution providers, our service providers, those that are manufacturing the devices that are going under the Christmas tree, to issue patches. Software updates are the answer here primarily. There's a couple things that you can do with that being said. So if you're prompted to update your television, if you're prompted to update software on your computer, if you're prompted to update software, I know often we'll disregard those messages. We have to pay attention to them this time. We should be updating that software. If we've heard our kids talk about things like Minecraft, make sure that they are applying the latest update. And like specifically because a lot of our kids that are running Minecraft servers and such will be looking for the latest features to come out. And whether or not they even want to bother with the update based upon the features, this feature is going to be log4j, which is not interesting, but needs to be applied. So apply updates, don't ignore them, and keep checking. And when you open those gifts under the Christmas tree, assume that they may be vulnerable and look for updates immediately. Heck, if it was my kid's gift, I'd be opening the package and resealing it.
Got it. All right. Curtis, real quickly, just to back up a little bit, how was this discovered?
So this was discovered through traditional research, but unfortunately flew under the radar just in general across the entire industry. That's a lot of what the conversation is right now. This became as prolific as it was when, for two reasons. It was announced by the company or the foundation that has ultimately created this software. They disclosed late last week that this was vulnerable. We also started to see what was actually happening in the Minecraft community, which really brought this to bear quickly and caused everyone to realize how truly widespread this was.
All right, which leads me to my final question, which is, you know, where was the failure, I guess, and what does this point us to in terms of what the nation needs to do in the future?
Well, this points to a lot of things, and there is no silver bullet here. There's no one single action, but what it shows is that we have a very complicated landscape. We have a complicated supply chain. We have to take security seriously. It's just as you mentioned at the top of the session, this is seriously one of the most, if not the most significant threats facing all nations. So what that means is we've got to take some steps to update our software. We have to take some steps to make sure that we're protected online. All of those recommendations that we've been talking about for some time now are more important than they've ever been. It's truly important that people are taking a step back and learning as much as they can about even some of the devices in their own networks, like your home router. If you can spend any time learning about some of the tech in your environment, learn a little bit more about your home router and follow some guides online that teach you how to improve the security of that device.
All right.
That alone will get you so much further.
Curtis Simpson, Chief Information Security Officer for ARMIS, thank you so very much for your time and expertise today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back with a contributor to the Stanford Daily newspaper to talk about the changes coming to the university as the Omicron variant continues to spread. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Finally, the sun is back out, which is great, so we'll give you a nice shot of the outside world here in the Bay Area live, and we'll be right back with a great guest to talk about what Stanford is doing. Big changes. As universities wrap up the fall semester, there are troubling signs that the Omicron variant may disrupt hopes for a normal spring semester on campuses across the country. Today, Stanford University announced two major changes when students and staff return after the holidays. Joining us now is the Newsroom Development Director of the Stanford Daily. That's the student newspaper at Stanford. Welcome, Emma Talley. Emma, nice to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You just filed your report, I saw, on this major development. Give us the details on the announcement today. There are two major components, I think, right?
Yeah, so basically, first and foremost, the first 2 weeks of our winter quarter will be held virtually as far as classes go. Students will be allowed to return to campus, return to student housing on campus, but classes will be held virtually on Zoom. And then the second big announcement to come out of that email we got today is that students will be required to receive their booster shot for their COVID vaccine. The university previously announced in April, I think, that students would be required to be fully vaccinated with 2 shots before coming back to campus in the fall. And now will also be required to have that booster shot as well.
All right, so how are students reacting to this news? Is there surprise or disappointment, or are people encouraged and happy about it?
Yeah, I think a lot of mixed emotions. A few people have said it feels like deja vu from last year because Stanford did tell us emphatically that we would be coming back for winter quarter and the first 2 weeks would be online, but we would be in person for that winter quarter. And then I think just 3 days before instruction was set to begin, they ultimately canceled and said, you can't come back. We're doing the full quarter online. So I think there's a lot of fear and apprehension among students that something like that could happen again, especially since we did have fall quarter in person and it was so amazing and it was so great to be back and things felt normal again. I think there's a lot of apprehension that things will regress.
Yeah, hopefully this time it truly is just the first 2 weeks, right? Because the plan is after Martin Luther King Day, you guys are back on campus. Of course, that depends on what's happening in California and the Bay Area, nationwide. Have there been cases at Stanford? I mean, I know there have been, but has there been an increase or any notable outbreaks?
Yeah, so there was a slight surge after Thanksgiving break. We had those 2 weeks right after Thanksgiving break. We saw a little bit of a bump, but nothing too intensely concerning. I think the highest it was 30 cases among students. So nothing like we're seeing at Cornell with hundreds of cases or Harvard with hundreds of cases. It was definitely a bit concerning coming back from break. And obviously, like anecdotally, you hear of outbreaks in certain residences, but I think the university did a pretty good job of kind of keeping that under control and quarantining people. We have a lot of mitigation strategies. We are required to test twice a week. So lots of different things to catch those cases before.
So you do asymptomatic testing of everybody twice a week?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Once a week, not twice a week, but
okay.
All students are required to test once a week.
Got it. And then in the common areas, are you all still required to mask?
Yes. So masking pretty much everywhere.
Okay. And
yeah.
Do the students generally adhere to that?
Yeah, I'd say in my experience, absolutely. Classes, there's pretty good compliance with the masking. People don't seem to mind it too much.
Okay. Look, I know the universities really differ in their experiences, right? You have MIT, which does the twice a week asymptomatic testing. You guys do it once a week. There's some schools like Northwestern, Middlebury, and I think UC Berkeley, where if you're vaccinated, you do not have to test at all unless you actually have symptoms. You know, do students generally find what you got now is adequate?
Yeah, I mean, we are required to test once a week. There was a bit of concern, I think, at the beginning of the year that was kind of overkill, especially among fully vaccinated students.
But now you're glad.
Yeah, I think now we're all pretty glad that they're catching it, as well as it's not that big of an inconvenience. They're all take-home tests, so you swab yourself in your dorm room and then you just drop it off in a drop box once a week. So it's really pretty convenient.
And if you're late, if you don't do it, do they cut off your access to campus buildings?
Yes. So if you don't test for a certain period of time, I'm not sure what that chunk of time is. I think it's like 2 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
you will get a bunch of warnings, and ultimately you won't be able to go into the dining halls.
All right. Well, perhaps it's because of the more stringent measures you at least got to finish the fall quarter in person, right? I know a lot of universities have had to move to online to do their finals, and Cornell University, like you said, 900 cases, I think, right? They had to shut down.
Yeah, I think it's also, we are on the quarter system, whereas you see like Cornell and Harvard both on the semester system. So their semesters end 2, sometimes 3, 4 weeks later than our quarter did. So all students, or most, if not all students, actually left the university by December 11th, because that was when our campus housing closed for the winter.
Okay.
So we just got out sooner.
Okay. If the university is requiring that students be boosted before the end of January, will they be offering clinics on campus to make it easy?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different places around Stanford to get vaccinated, or to get vaccinated, to get to the booster. Stanford Healthcare, I think, has a bunch of different clinics, as well as there's a CVS down the street, and a bunch of different pharmacies in the area that offer boosters and vaccines.
All right. And your vaccination rate is what, 99%, 98%, something like that?
It's quite high. It's, I think, around 98%.
Okay. Finally, what is the university advising you guys in terms of what you should be doing over break to maximize your chances of coming back on campus as soon as possible, which I guess at this point is January 18th?
Yeah, so they are recommending that we definitely get the booster over the winter break while we're home. I got mine on Tuesday, so I'm very excited. I'm ready to go. But they're also requiring that we take a test before returning to campus, and then continue, the normal strategies: masking, don't go to large gatherings over winter, be careful if you're traveling, keep up the masking, good hygiene, good sanitation measures. But we also are required to do that test, either a rapid test, a PCR test, before returning to campus. And if we test positive, we are told not to return to campus until we've had time to isolate and quarantine.
All right. Well, the strategy sounds sound. Let's just hope it all works out. Emma Talley, Stanford Daily, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We should tell you we reached out to UC as well to ask them what they're doing. At this point, boosters are not required or mandated. They are recommended. And so far, the UC campuses are planning to be back in person at their regular times. We'll be right back to tell you about how you can help Asian American businesses this holiday season. All right, everybody. Look, I got all this great food here. Bum, ba, bum. Black cocoa chia granola, yum yum. Matcha vibes. Ooh, actually, I'm gonna open that now because I've got to try that. I'm just gonna open it. I'm just gonna open it. I'm gonna be like that. And the reason is because I've got a couple of great local businesses to tell you about. You can pick up great deals, and it's a great cause, so we'll have that for you in just a minute. Yum, yum, yum. We got food.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Remember when Crazy Rich Asians became a huge box office surprise hit? A lot of people, including the film's Bay Area-born director, credited the efforts of a group called Gold House. It's an organization working to ensure Asian American representation and visibility amid rising attacks against the community. It started with entertainment and has since moved into art, social impact, and business. Its latest effort comes just in time for the holidays, encouraging people to shop local and shop Asian American. Joining us now are the founders of two small businesses, Nona Lim, wave hi because I'm not sure who's who, and Erica Lou Williams. Okay, gotcha.
Hi.
Erica in the middle. Ladies, nice to have you. Tell us about your businesses. Nona, I'm going to start with you. You have an Asian food line, right?
Absolutely. So we're an Asian food company called Nona Lim, which is my name. And we have products like fresh ramen, bone broth, rice noodles, stir-fry starter kits that we sell at grocery stores as well as online.
All right, yeah, no, I'm checking this out. Indian lentil soup, tomato Thai basil soup, teriyaki ramen, and guess what? You have a pad Thai, which I actually made just before our show. Do we have that video? Because I like to embarrass myself like that. We'll have that up in just a second. But Nona, while we look at me preparing it, tell us how you came up with these flavors and your cooking background.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Singapore. And, as a child, I would go with my dad to the hawker center that's just right by my place. And in Singapore, you have what they call hawker centers, where there are tens of all these little stores that sell only one dish. So I remember I would stand there and just watch the hawker make his one dish, whether it is like a char kway teow, a fried noodle in a big black wok with lots of fire and steam. And I was just fascinated with cooking and with all that flavors. Fast forward to a decade and a half ago when I moved to the US, I really wanted to recreate the flavors from my childhood, and also wanted to bring all this Southeast Asian and Asian flavors, to everyone in the US. I think that, as we have taco night or pizza night, I think we should have a noodle night and make it really easy for families to cook stir-fried noodles at home or ramen noodles at home.
Yeah, no, did you see how quickly I made that pad Thai? It was delicious too. And really, where else can you find spicy chicken ramen bone broth, right? Or coconut lime chicken bone broth. Those are really unique flavors. Erica, I want to bring you in now. You have, is it Great Nola? The number
right.
8 Nola.
Yep.
Why the number 8?
So 8 obviously is a fun planned word, so it's pronounced Great Nola, but it also pays homage to my heritage. I'm actually Chinese American, and the 8 represents
Lucky
auspicious.
number 8.
And
yeah.
That's a very lucky number.
All right, well, you definitely have some Asian-inspired flavors, matcha vibes granola, right? I'm going to you tell me how you came up with them while I eat.
Sure. So I founded Great Nola when I was on a cleanse that my husband and I do every single year, the day after Super Bowl. So this is after all the gluttony from holiday eating. And we just wanted to find something sweet and crunchy that wouldn't just blow our diets. So when I couldn't find healthy granolas and snacks that weren't loaded with refined sugars and inflammatory oils, I set out to make my own using lower sugar ingredients and infusing them with unique and functional superfoods. So you're tasting my matcha green tea infused flavor, but then I also have a turmeric flavor called Golden Spice. I have a black granola infused with activated charcoal, which is helpful for detoxing and digestion. So not only are they absolutely delicious, eat them plain out of the bag with milk or on a bowl of yogurt, they actually have really awesome superfood benefits as well.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I just tried the black cocoa chia, delicious. You have cinnamon chai. These definitely are unique and no refined sugar. So I want to ask you, you're both supported, I think, by Gold House, right? It has an accelerator called Gold Rush to support Asian American-led companies and entrepreneurs. How did that help you?
So I can jump in. I think first and foremost, it's the network and the people, especially in the time of COVID. We're all isolated. We're not really out and about as much. And this has been really awesome in not just getting our brands out there and elevated to a wider audience, whether it's through press and other opportunities like this, but being connected to a founder of like-minded people who basically were out to kind of help better the food industry or better an industry while supporting each other, I think has been tremendously helpful.
Yeah, and Nona, what we're doing is we're showing folks the website, the products featured in the Gold House holiday sale. Your two companies are there, but there are also lots of others. Can you speak generally to what folks can find on the Gold House holiday sale website? Are there special offers? What do you think?
Sure. Like for example, we have a 25% discount on the Gold House holiday website, so you can enjoy it there. And then what's great about it is that, it's such an opportunity for us to meet founders in other industries as well that's not the food industry. So not only did I get to meet Erica, but I got to meet lots of other founders who might be in fashion, in beauty and wellness, in sexual wellness, all kinds of industries. And so it's just been so good to get to meet other great AAPI entrepreneurs who are, we're all hustling along and trying to build our dreams.
All right, Erica of Great Nola and Nona Lim of Nona Lim Delicious Asian Food line. Congratulations to both of you. Don't go away. We'll continue to chat on Facebook Live while we'll take a short break on the air. By the way, the website is goldhouse.org, where you can find all sorts of great products.
In commercial break.
All right, ladies, I just also want to ask you, why do you think it's so important to support small, local, minority-led businesses? Erica, what do you think?
So for me, I grew up in a household and in a family where I didn't see a lot of females modeling an entrepreneurial spirit or even like a very career-driven spirit. I think we see the female role tending more to the household and to the home and to the kids, which is a hard feat in itself. But I think for me, once I was able to see other people kind of build their dreams and pursue their own path, especially female and Asian females, that allowed me to see myself differently and gave me the motivation to start my own thing. So it's so important, I think, to, follow your gut, follow your heart. And then by doing so, you're actually leading by example to help kind of pave the path for the future generation of minority founders, especially AAPI ones.
Yeah. What do you think, Nona?
I totally agree with Erica, because when I first launched in 2014, I was one of the few, Asian founders in the CPG, in the food industry. And if you go to one of those trade shows, I'll be the only one there. So it's really awesome to see in the last few years, so many more other businesses, Asian businesses and Asian female founders have launched businesses. And I think that that's testament to how representation really matters. And I'm excited about that.
Well, that is great. I would like to ask you how you come up with these unique flavors, both of you, but I think that would take a whole nother show, which we should do sometime. But in the meantime, thank you for introducing your products. Thank you for these great samples that I'll share with the newsroom. Best of luck to you. And I hope the Gold House holiday sale does great for not just you two, but all the businesses featured.
Thanks for having us. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thanks for stopping by. I don't have like black granola in my teeth, do I? It was really good. Black cocoa chia. Great Nola.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much for joining us on this interactive show, Getting Answers today. We'll be here every weekday at 3 on air and on live stream answering your questions. World News Tonight is next. Bye-bye.